Do you know what? While we're on the topic of the freshers, so I just want to look at a couple of these rules that are going to be trialed into freshers over the next couple of months and see what you make of it. So I'm just going to bring this one up first. So this is the puck out in hurling. It has to travel outside the near 45, and I'll just read the specifics of it here. A, the ball shall travel outside the near 45-meter line before being played by another player of the defending team. B, what happens if a player from the team taking the puck out plays the ball before it has travelled outside the near 45-metre line? One, or the penalty will be one, cancel the puck out, two, throw the ball in on the defender's 20-metre line in front of the scoring space. Now, it's interesting, actually. Like if you look at A again, the ball shall travel outside the near 45-metre line before being played by another player of the defending team. Is that suggesting that someone from the attacking team can't intercept?
Yeah, no, it sounds like it's suggesting that someone from the attacking team can still be on the 21, and if they block it with their hurl, they block it with their hurl. But where's the full back line setting up in that instance? Are you still setting up in your traditional spots? I don't know. We're really kind of murking or muddying the waters here.
Yeah, look, I'm not a bit sure about this one at all, because if you're okay, so we'll just look at it here again. If you're the attacking team here, what's the okay, actually, no, I just want to say the general principle in sport that makes it exciting is, and especially with soccer in recent years, is the rules reward pushing up. Like teams that have become very good at pushing up, for example, Man City, for example, Liverpool, when they press up high, it's really exciting because if they get a turnover, it means a goal situation. If the other team is able to break the press and get out, it means they're attacking against sparse numbers and into lots of space. So you're rewarding pushing up. Now, the reason I'd have an issue with this is, if we bring it up again, now, what's the reward for you pushing up now if you know that a team can't go short? So if you're the defending team, why not drop everyone straight out to the 45 instantly?
It's
Because
exactly what you're going to do.
You know nobody. So rather than rewarding pressing up, we're now telling everyone, sit back. So what you will have is teams with like 3 players along the 45, everyone else absolutely packed in the middle, and teams just basically, we're going to have like 20 players in the middle, and we're going to be pucking the ball out to between 20 players in the middle. And this is the law of unintended consequences. They want to make this more attacking, force teams to puck it out further and all that kind of stuff. But what you're going to do is you're not rewarding pressing up, which means you're just going to force a load of numbers to the middle, and it's just a big old muddle. Now, I could be wrong. That's just how I feel on the face of it.
Now, on the face of it, it looks like it's going to make it more defensive rather than more attacking. In our Senior B game the other day, they kind of sat off me. I don't know if they thought I was no threat at all, but they sat off me a couple of times anyway, and I was actually able to carry the ball to the 45 and clear everything. And it actually was a massive benefit. And there was loads of balls in around the square and in around those areas because you're able to clear the half back line. Like, I have an issue with teams like giving other teams like every puck out and this kind of crack. I think it's ridiculous. I don't know why you'd hand possession over the whole time. But I like the idea of teams pushing up and going for the attacking on it. And as you say, if they turn over the ball, we've seen a good few balls turned over from trying to work it through the lines. Maybe, a forward gets in a break or something and whatever. Then at the same as you say at the far end, there are less bodies at the far end now. If you're pushing up, there's less of a defensive screen. So it's kind of a kamikaze element to it that I kind of like at the moment. If you're pushing up, if you're not pushing up, it can be a bit of an eyesore just to see keeper comes out, pucks out to the corner back, and you work it up or whatever. But I don't really see the sense in this. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I covered the first ever game that was played when the midfield mark was introduced, it was a Dub Stars game, 1st of January, not sure what year, and I didn't see the benefits in that day, and I didn't see much of it, and I think it's been a brilliant rule that's been introduced to inter-county level. But I definitely wouldn't be sure about this. I'm not sure how much sense it makes, and I'm not sure why we're fixated with changing certain rules and aspects of the game when we should be a lot more fixated with sending players off when they dive or sending players off when they're trying to get somebody else sent off. I think we're probably fixating on the wrong things.
Well, to me, again, just coming back to the whole pushing up thing, we need to have rules that reward pushing up or that force teams to push up. So what about, for example, So I'll just bring up the image once more, and this is something that I haven't fully thought through. So maybe like some of the rules that we've seen in recent years, like the attack and mark, we haven't thought about the unintended consequences. But what about instead of dropping outside the puck out having to go outside the 45, we force it so that teams so the forwards on the attack on the defending team, so that the forwards have to be inside the 20-meter line, something like that, and that three forwards have to be inside the 21 and three backs have to be inside the 21. So that stops teams sitting back, which means there's space everywhere else across the field. After that, don't mind where anyone is, but just you have to have three from each side inside the 21.
Is that in the fine print?
No. I'm saying, what if instead of what we're seeing there,
Yeah.
if this was the rule, so the teams are forced to push up, which means there's space everywhere else in the pitch, which means you're not going to puck it inside the 21 because three players have to be pressed up. So that means you're going to have 11v11 outfield.
Yeah, no, that would make a hell
space.
of a lot more sense, but it would have to have that caveat that they have to stay inside. And if they're able to filter back, they'd have to filter back really quickly, obviously, and try and clog things up. But it's still going to be difficult. You're creating more space in the pitch, and that's what we want to see. We want to see more space, more danger.
Like, the whole idea is that, it'll make it more open and exciting what they're talking about, but what they're actually doing, from what I can see here, is the opposite. We'll talk about the other rule now, which is
just quickly, Shane. There was a couple of good comments up there. In fairness,
okay.
Sully just says if the rule states that three players, like you say, from the attacking team must start inside the 45-meter line, then it could be better. Even though I would agree, probably the 21-meter line is maybe a bit more realistic. John Collins also says a rule like this means the goalkeeper won't score from the 21, which was dangerously close recently. That's happening a lot more. Or he said it could mean that they will, because of the possibility of having now less forwards inside the 45. So that has happened a hell of a lot more, and giving the ball to the full back and taking it and striking it from around the 21 or whatever. Maybe he'll be able to give the ball to someone at the 45 and take it back, potentially. I don't know. It depends how
There'll be a huge traffic jam out there now, I'd imagine.
You'd imagine so. But I know we're only trialing this, and maybe it's good to trial things. A couple of things on that. I think we're trialing the wrong things, and I don't know why our freshers have to be the ones to feel the brunt of this, because that's a competition, obviously, that is taken very, very seriously in its own right. So I don't know why they should have to play under these kind of peculiar rules, to say the least.
Yeah, Harcoon75 says no quick puck outs. Then though, Shane, maybe there could be, but they're just not going along the 21. There's a quick puck out to someone who's on the 45 or somebody who's dropping deep, because it's created space everywhere else. Teams will still try to set up with a bit of a half man marking sort of structures, soft zone structure, we'll say. I think the quick puck out will be on. It'll just be on 15 yards further out. That's what I would say. DG says, I think the rules in hurling are fine. Now football needs rule changes to make it a spectacle again, more 50-50s. You could probably say the same in football as well. What would it be like if it was the exact same rule in football, that three people on each side had to be inside the 21? And the puck outs or the kick out is taken on the 14. Nobody's going to go.
Yeah, and you'd have keepers thinking, if I can break a certain line, there's a massive score on it again, because there's less bodies going to be back. I remember being at Offaly and Westmeath. It was a Leinster quarter-final replay, maybe in Mullingar, and Westmeath had this real aggressive press on, and they kicked it out to the middle of the field where there was only 2-on-2. And it's like, if it broke one way, Offaly were on for a goal. And if it broke the other way, Westmeath were on for a goal. And you're just thinking, this is kind of horrible to watch in one way if you're an Offaly person, if it breaks one side. But it's also exhilarating to watch as well. So I don't know. I like when teams press up, I think. But when teams, I remember Wexford sometimes in this year's championship and league, just giving the opposition the puck out nearly every time. And what I would have said to be inferior opposition, which just doesn't make sense, and maybe they're trying to eradicate things like that happening.
Yeah, and maybe even what I'm saying about you have to have three inside the 21, that doesn't mean you can't pass to them. If the three guys, so it's going to be 3v3 either side. Well, if the lads do some quick little movement and they're able to get free inside the 21, grand. It doesn't mean that they have to puck it outside the 21. But if you go short to somebody and obviously you can't give it straight back to the goalie, then it's going to be dicey straight away. You're going to have a player inside his own 21 with the ball, and he's going to have to try and work it out. That's going to be exciting. Anyway, look, there's TOS1986 says, stop trying to artificially manufacture rules to make the game what certain people want it to be. Administrator, I don't like short puck outs. Solution, ban them. But that's fine. If you want to ban them, though, you can't have both teams dropping everybody out, because that will just turn it into a mill out there. Make the slitters heavier. That's the only change I'd make with the playing rules. Traumspieler, 100% agree. And Harkoon, 75. But if you have to have 6 lads inside the 21 and a forward and want to slow the game down, he sits outside. I'm not entirely sure what you mean with that one. Will we go on to the other rule?
Yeah, things get even more convoluted, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the one, the hand pass rules. So, hurling hand pass. The ball will be released from the holding hand and struck with a definite striking action of a hand by either number 1, the other hand, or number 2, tapping the ball on the hurley and striking the ball with either hand. The process of striking the ball with the non-original holding hand involves the transferring the hurley from one hand to the other. Did you get all that?
So you telling me that if the ball is in my left hand, I'm gonna throw it up, so the hurl is in my right hand. So I'm gonna throw it up with my left hand. I'm gonna switch my hurl to my left hand and hand pass with my right hand.
So from what I can tell, you either hand pass it directly off the stick, or you do a switch hand pass where you're running along. The left is your free hand. Then you flick the ball up with your hurley and pat. But like, what's going to happen is teams will just run along and just do the little mini brick flick all over the place. Like, that's as easy as hand passing.
Do you have any? I do that more than hand passing when possible.
The
mini brick flick. I actually think it's more efficient.
Yeah. So it's going to be a free if you don't do. I don't see this solving too much. Like, are you telling me that the Limerick players, for example, because it feels like this is going after Limerick, you telling me they can't do a mini brick flick?
Darragh O'Donovan does it regularly anyway. A good few, Will O'Donoghue does it a good bit anyway as well. Paddy Levy obviously as well. Yeah, this is so convoluted. Like, this
is the one that Conor O'Donovan came up with, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it's very convoluted, and plus you're going to. I know there's a good. No, there would be a good bit of throwing or whatever in games now, but you're actually forcing players to think, oh, they're on the ball and it's like, oh, I need to do this or whatever, and it goes away totally from natural instincts, I think. I don't know. I don't know about this one now at all.
Well, what about banning hand passing totally then?
Banning it completely, or letting lads throw the ball.
Well, banning it completely and just saying, okay, you can only brick flick. I'm not suggesting it, but I'm just saying maybe that's another angle that you might as well go with.
Just because so many hand passes are so debatable, and it's like, did he throw it? Did he not throw it? How many throws were there in this game?
Look, isn't there a time when a hand pass is unbelievable? Like, I'll give you a perfect example. Do you remember when Kilkenny hammered Tipperary in 2012? Henry Shefflin made a great burst up through the centre of the Tipperary defence and must have done a 20-yard hand pass perfectly in stride for TJ Reid to catch and bury today. It was unbelievable. There's definitely, like, for example, then Noel McGrath, the switch hand pass. The hand pass against Kilkenny on the spin in 2010. So there are times when it was brilliant, when it is brilliant, you know.
There have been some really good ones. Eddie Brennan's one in 11 as well for Richie's goal. There's sometimes when even a pop pass, and you can tell that's pretty legal. That, like, I don't know, Limerick have made hand passing like unbelievably probably the most efficient it's ever been at times, and it's sometimes I find
it's so good you don't even need to hand pass
it. I do find it good to watch at times as well, just because it's so fast and it's just the angles of runners or whatever. It's just that it's debatable. It's just so debatable whether it was a throw, whether it was a hand pass. Some referees will pull this, others won't. There's a directive in the league to pull as much what you perceive as throwing as possible. The directive is out the window come championship. A referee pulls a throw in a big championship game at a crucial time, but has missed a couple of earlier in the game or whatever. I'm not 100% sure what the way to stamp this out is. Maybe I'm being unfair to this rule. Maybe we need to give it a go.
Well, I'm going to be forced to.
Yeah, you're going to have to give it a go. It'd be interesting to see how it works. But really, you'll only know when you see it at inter-county level. Do you think it's gone that bad that we need to look at doing something nuclear with the hand pass?
Yeah, yeah, I think something probably does need to be done with it. But I think more so what I'm saying about the puck outs, and just like if you had 3v3 inside the 21, and that was the only rule, and until the ball is actually pucked, those players can't exit that area. I think that alone would probably change an awful lot of hurling for the better. Will I go to, do you know what? Whenever I have the first freshers game at UCD this year, maybe you should come along as well.
Yeah.
And we'll do a little quick video afterwards talking about it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, people let us know if you'd be interested in that. Dennis Noonan says, is there something wrong with the game of hurling? Why are people messing with the game? ML89, really every new rule that comes in, it's always easier to counter it negatively than positively, especially at county level where it could be exploited better. John Collins, why was there some talk of at least a 2-inch clearance to allow refs see the separation between hand and ball? In principle, a good idea, but in reality, I doubt it will work. Probably banning the hand pass is better than this rule change, says Richard Hogan. The intention is to ensure it's a hand pass and not a throw. There are about 3 refs, maybe more, on a small basketball court. We need refs for sections of the field. Don't ban the hand pass, says John Collins. Who is suggesting these rules? Asked Traumspieler. Has the GA taken over by counterinsurgents, or what been taken over? Sounds like people who never played the game deciding these nonsense suggestions. And A Sully 180, if we banned hand passes, could we see a return to the good old fashioned kick pass?
Well, the kick pass was a mad one that we got rid of. You can't basically nearly do anything with your foot in hurling now. You know what I mean? Like I didn't. There was like Billy Burns' goal. Would that have been outlawed? Remember, he bounced the ball off the ground. Actually, that was iconic against Kilkenny. I don't think it's gone to a point yet with the hand pass where we really need to look at doing something like where we need to enforce something like this. Maybe it's a case where you're just going to have referees, and you're going to have to suck it up during the league, and you're going to say blow the whistle every time you see a throw or you perceive to see a throw. And if he blows the whistle 100 times, so be it. If he blows it 80 times the next day, when people cotton on that he's going to keep blowing 60 the next time, it's like you were saying about black card incidents. You know, if it was a black card anywhere in the field and it was a penalty, yeah, there might be a few initially and a few flashpoints, but people will eventually realize, okay, they're going to blow for this. We can't get away with this anymore. Essentially, the hand pass now is coaches saying you will get away with this, and this will give us that half a second to stop a team getting in on top of us or being able to put that pressure on us. We'll be able to break a line, and it's actually the risk of being caught, which is very slim, is worth it when you compare it to the reward of Keane Lynch breaks the line and Limerick are in for a goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing about let's say that any black card tackle, instead of it being a black card, it's just a penalty. Less admin for a referee. I was saying this in RTE Sport there on Sunday. Less admin for a referee because it's just a penalty and that's it. Because teams do a cynical foul to stop a goal. This will therefore more or less gift a goal to the opposition. Less admin. He doesn't have to worry about, is that lad off there for 10 minutes or not? Doesn't have to brandish a card. Maybe give a yellow if they feel like it. And I just think that it just will make the game more exciting. And like, it will only ever happen in very, very unusual or like very rare circumstances. And the other thing is, if the game's on TV, like we have replays, we have Hawkeye already. Just use video evidence. Just use a VAR. It'd be grand, like, because like if a player dies, then it'd be like grand. He's going to be exposed in front of the whole country. He won't. They won't. It won't happen. Like we need extreme rules, not little half soft rules, because people will, keep trying to take advantage.
Extreme rules, like a WWE pay-per-view.